In these clips, we see Navy personnel loading 20mm cartridges into a 60-round Oerlikon magazine, the 20mm anti-aircraft guns ready and firing. After the Pearl Harbor attacks, these guns quickly replaced the ship's Browning 50 caliber machine guns and their 1.1-inch guns. The 20mm gun's combat record was impressive. They were responsible for shooting down 5.3 times as many enemy aircraft as the 30 caliber, 50 caliber, and 1.1-inch caliber guns combined. Only the 40mm Bofors and 5-inch guns claim more U.S. ship aircraft kills. The intent of this video is to review the 20mm gun specifications, characteristics, usage, projectile types, projectile ballistics, and its combat performance. This video was requested by viewers from the channel's last video covering the Bofors 40mm gun versus the Japanese 25mm Model 96 gun. This page from a 1945 declassified United States Fleet Ship Anti-Aircraft Summary document outlines the World War II trends in ship-based anti-aircraft armaments by the end of 1942. Although 50 caliber machine guns were credited in shooting down most Japanese aircraft during the Pearl Harbor attacks, they were considered obsolete due to their short range and low stopping power. The Oerlikon 20mm autocannons were introduced into the fleets at the start of the war. Planes were sighted by either an iron ring sight and/or tracers. This image shows a typical iron speed ring sight and post from a 1943 20mm anti-aircraft gun document. The concentric circles are given speed values, which can be used to account for the proper target lead. The channel will cover use of these sights in a future video. The major ship-based anti-aircraft 20mm armaments changes at the end of 1942 include: adopt the Mark 14 gun sight on the 20mm autocannons for target sighting. These images show the Mark 14 gun sight mounted on the 20mm guns in lieu of iron ring sight and post. These are gyroscopic lead computing gun sights. They were designed to provide a rapid firing solution. Operationally, they increase the gun's combat effectiveness by 50%. Replace the ineffective 30 and 50 caliber machine guns with 20mm autocannons. This image shows the 30 and 50 caliber ship-based machine guns. This chart from a 1944 U.S. Naval Operations document outlines characteristics of various ship anti-aircraft guns. The first row is an anti-aircraft weapon, and the first column represents the parameter. 20mm guns' maximum quadrant elevation equates to 85 degrees. That would look something like this from a 1942 Navy 20mm document. The maximum vertical effective range is 4,500 feet. Muzzle velocity equates to 2,725 feet per second, or Mach 2.44. Theoretical rate of fire is 480 rounds per minute, magazine capacity 60 rounds, and the projectile will detonate at target contact. Key features of ship-based anti-aircraft guns are to have a high rate of fire, high muzzle velocity, high traverse and elevation speed for tracking targets, and repositioning for new targets, as defined on this page from a 1945 British Gunnery Handbook. High muzzle velocity is needed to minimize the lead required, which will increase the likelihood of projectile strikes. The 20mm gun's practical rate of fire is less than its maximum rate of fire due to the magazine swaps needed when they expend their 60 rounds, as discussed on this page from a 1943 20mm gun document. A 60-round magazine is emptied in 7.5 seconds, and accounting for a 5-second magazine swap, the practical rate of fire is closer to 300 rounds per minute. After 1 minute or 5 magazines of firing, the gun crew would need to pause while the barrels cool down or swap the barrel. Effective range of the guns is based on the type of target sighting system. This equates to 1,200 yards for iron sights and/or tracer target sighting, and 1,700 yards if using the Mark 14 gun sight. This page provides additional specifications and dimensions of the 20mm guns from an ordnance document. The gun's armored splinter shield thickness equates to 1/2 inch, and its weight equates to 250 pounds. A rear view of the splinter shield. Lead, damn it, lead. Now again, in this voice. The weight of the gun system equates to 1,695 pounds. Elevation ranges from +87 to -5 degrees. The gun requires a 5-foot diameter working circle. A spent cartridge bag may be added to the gun. The gun is operated typically by a crew of 4 from a 1944 Navy Gunnery Manual. The gunner holds the gun with his feet 2.5 to 3 feet apart. He is strapped into position with his chest up against the shoulder braces. The gun's shoulder braces and straps are shown in this image. His knee should have a slight bend. His right hand is used to position the gun in elevation and azimuth, and his left hand is on the trigger. A gunner in firing position. Shoulder brace in contact, strap attached, right hand on guide grip, and Mark 14 gun sight. This image shows the location of the gun's trigger and trigger assembly. The trunnion operator raises and lowers the gun based on the gun's elevation angle, so the gunner doesn't have to strain to operate the gun. He raises or lowers the gun by rotating the column raising hand wheel, as shown in this image. The gunner's knee should always have a slight bend. He watches the gunner's knees, not the target, and elevates the guns accordingly. This image shows the trunnion operator watching the gunner's knees. The gunner is showing proper knee bend. By looking at the cylinder, the gun is raised in this view and lowered in this view. Handwheel in action. He's watching the gunner's knees. A partially raised gun. Crewman 3 is the loader. His job is to continuously swap the expended magazines with a filled magazine. The fourth crew member passes the magazines to the loader and removes the empties. The gun column raising handwheel, splinter shield, 60-round magazine, iron ring sight and post, shoulder rest, restraining strap, and spent cartridge bag. This image shows a cutaway of the gun's magazine. The ammo mix is typically a repeating 1 high explosive round followed by a high explosive tracer round. This page from a 1947 U.S. Explosives Ordnance document outlines characteristics and a cutaway of the 20mm cartridges adopted for an anti-aircraft role. The high explosive cartridge is 3.275 inches in length and 0.78 inches in width. The projectile's weight equates to 0.2714 pounds when filled with 0.0243 pounds of an explosive fill. Its Mark 26 nose fuse is designed to detonate the projectile on contact. The 11 grams of explosive fill is located here. This is 16% the explosive fill of the Bofors 40mm projectile. The high explosive tracer round projectile is separated by 2 cavities. 4.5 grams of an explosive fill is located next to the contact fuse, and 7.9 grams of a tracer compound is located in the projectile's tail cavity. The tracer burn time is around 3.75 seconds. There is no self-destruct element. This chart outlines the trajectories of the 20mm projectile. The x-axis is a horizontal range in yards. The y-axis is the altitude in feet. The curves fanning out from the ordnance are the projectile's trajectory based on the gun's quadrant elevation angle from 0 to 90 degrees. The quarter circle curves are the projectile's time of flight from 1 to 5 seconds. Since tracer burnout occurs at 3.75 seconds, the projectile's view will be lost by the gunner at a slant range around 1,650 yards. The effective slant range of the gun is either at 1,200 or 1,700 yards, depending on the sighting method. The 20mm gun danger area is 18% the danger area of the Bofors 40mm gun at its effective range of 4,000 yards. The 20mm projectile strike velocity at a 1,500-yard range equates to 928 feet per second from a 1944 Navy range table document. At this range, the strike velocity of the 40mm projectile is 2,116 feet per second. The 40mm projectile's velocity is 2.3 times the 20mm projectile's velocity. So how effective were the 20mm guns in combat? During 1942 and 1943, the 20mm guns outperformed all other naval anti-aircraft guns. The 40mm and 5-inch guns outperformed the 20mm guns in 1944 and 1945. This table outlines the various naval ship anti-aircraft guns' performance from 1942 to 1945. The significant data includes the weapon system and enemy aircraft kills per year. We can plot this data to review the effectiveness of each weapon system. The x-axis is the year. The y-axis is the number of planes shot down. The area plots each represent a weapon system. The 20mm guns dominated the number of kills per year in 1942 and 1943. In the later 2 years, though, the 40mm and 5-inch guns outperformed the 20mm guns. Overall, the 20mm gun shot down 28% of all U.S. ship-based kills at 618. That's 5.3 times the number of planes shot down as the 30 cal, 50 cal, and 1.1-inch guns combined. The 20mm guns fired 5,287 rounds per bird. That's 3.1 times as many rounds per bird as the 40mm guns. This chart outlines the number of anti-aircraft guns mounted on U.S. Navy ships at war's end. We can add columns representing the number of 20 and 40mm barrels. Battleships mounted 65 20mm and 80 40mm guns, whereas destroyers mounted 20 20mm and 16 40mm guns. By war's end, it was policy to replace all 20mm guns with the more effective 40mm quad mounts if space permits. If deck space is limited, then replace all single 20mm with twin 20mm guns. Only these four ship types had twin 20mm guns mounted at war's end. In summary, 20mm guns replaced the ineffective 30 cal, 50 cal, and 1.1 inch caliber guns at the start of the war. The 20mm guns were replaced with the more effective 40mm guns at war's end, if space feasible. The 40mm guns covered 5 times more effective area. The projectiles were 2.3 times faster at a strike distance of 1,500 yards, and they packed 6.2 times the explosive fill of the 20mm guns. If you have found this 20mm gun combat performance review video interesting and informative, please consider supporting the channel by liking, commenting, and or subscribing to World War II U.S. Bombers.